then, shall we have a chat? That was a decidedly good yes from down here. So, my name is Kay. As lots of you will know, I'm fairly hard to miss. I run Queer Punk upstairs. So, small toy business. My background is as a furniture maker. So I bring a different skill set and a different knowledge base to a lot of the people that come into this industry from other directions. My background is also as an engineer. My background is also as a designer. So I'm a qualified designer, worked as a product designer for several years. My specific area was ergonomics. Fascinatingly boring topic, loads of stuff about it, but basically it's how do we make things that work for people. The best example I will ever give to this is how many of you have ever walked up to a door and pushed when you should have pulled? Oh, makes me rage. And that is what my specialism in design was. How do handles need to shape? How do doors need to work? How do things need to work for your body, for your shape, for your size? So that is my background. That is why I think I'm qualified to talk about designed for impact. And I think to lay that out at the start, to know that I'm not just sort of making it up as, well, not just mostly making it up as I go along. So, what I do, and my specialism in terms of toys, is colourful custom kink. That's my tagline, colourful custom kink. What I want is kink toys that look awesome, that work for people, that work for people's bodies, and things like that. And that's what I think is important. What underpins all of that, and I think what should underpin all of that for every single business out there, is safe. It's obvious. We think about it every single time we play. Oh, I need to be safe. This lovely poster behind me, thinking about safe zones and safe impact and things like that. But I think, and in my experience of going to events, being on the scene for a long time now, I know, so young looking, my experience is that quite a lot of people use toys that maybe I don't consider, in my professional opinion, safe. In the same way that lots of riggers will look at a scene, and whether it's the attachment points or a way a rope is put, they go, oh, maybe not. Now let me be really clear. I am not calling out any maker in this room. I'm never, ever, ever going to name names. That is not what I'm here for. I think that is a really shitty thing to do as someone that's giving this talk, is to call out people specifically. What I want to do is give a better understanding of what I look at and what I think about and my process for designing and making toys and why I think that makes it good. I'm not going to be demoing everything. Please don't expect that I'm going to be going, this is how you use a flogger, this is how you use a whip, this is how you use a cane. Please don't be surprised by that. There are lots of demos, lots of balloon work. No. I will warn you if the balloons are going to pop. Don't worry, you can put your fingers in your ears. But yeah, that's what I'm here for. And specifically, we're going to talk about materials and what materials look like in terms of safety. We're going to talk about design. So how do we design something that works well and is safe? We're going to talk about construction. So how do we build safe toys? And what should you look for when building or when buying toys? And finishes and things like that. What's a good finish? What's a bad finish? How do you know if it's going to hold up, last? How do you know if you're going to get stained purple when you use it in the rain and you use it outside? I've seen that so much and it does tickle me a little bit. And because I am a nice, wonderful human being, I even made this lovely little resource, an impact toy shopping guide. It's a little checklist and I'll stick them on the table at the end. So actually you can take one of these if you want. I'm not going to force you to. And it gives you a little hint. So at the end, if you're going, I know better now, but how will I remember it? There'll be a stack of these. It will also go up on my website if you want to go and download it for free. There'll also be some on my table, but a little way to help you take that home and take that forwards into the future. So let's get started, shall we? With a little talk about materials. Now, I'm dead boring about this. My background's, like I said, education, design, and this. I can talk about materials for hours. I'm not going to. Let's group it into some simple categories. Woods, metals, leather, and plastic. Easy. Easy peasy. Absolutely easy peasy. My toys are wood, predominantly. I like wood. And if you pick up a wooden toy, it's warm. It's warm in the hand. You've got that grip to it. And I think that's a really nice bit of control for a toy. Metal, a bit heavier, a bit slipperier, tends to be thinner, a bit sharper on the handle. But I like wood because it's a warm material. It's kind. Now, not all woods are created equal. If I look at my little table of props just here, I've got one of my toys that's in oak, a very strong hardwood. Everyone's kind of heard of oak. That's what castles are built from and things like that. That's what you put your front door out of. Oak, hard, durable, solid, lovely. Lots of my toys are beech. Beech, probably less commonly known. Children's toys are made of beech. Chopping boards are made of beech. Kitchen utensils are made of beech. Wooden spoons are made of beech. So that key sort of criteria we're looking at there, is it going to splinter? Actually, if you're stirring your bolognese and it's going to splinter, that's a bad day. And actually, I'm looking at it the same way. If it's hitting my bum and it splinters, I'm going to have a bad day. So we talk about oak, we talk about beech, we talk about things like maple, another really nice solid hardwood, and things like that. These really solid woods. What we generally want to avoid, and I speak generally here, what we generally want to avoid is softwoods. The stuff that you make your house out of, the stuff that you go down to Wickes or Homebase and pick up. The wood that you can dig your nail into. A softwood, something like pine, two parts to it. A, it's soft, it's going to mark, it's going to dent. Those dents pick up bacteria, pick up germs. But softwood also does this. It splits very easily. This is just a dowel of softwood I picked up from B&Q yesterday. And it breaks with the grain, with the lines in the wood. So this dowel has split off with the lines in the wood, and we get a horrible razor-sharp splinter. The big obvious one for this is canes, isn't it? The really big obvious one is canes. If you're caning someone with a wooden, pine generally is what people see, dowel, and it splits, A, you've got that pinch, but it's sharp. Compare that to something like rattan. Rattan splits and behaves really differently. It doesn't form those sharp splinters. Rattan's a weird one though, because we don't see it, and it looks a bit like bamboo. And I see lots of people selling bamboo canes. Anyone here, show of hands, keen gardeners? Anyone ever run their hand up like a bamboo in the garden before, when it's maybe been out there for a couple of years? What happened to you? No, yeah. Nice big splinter, nice big cut in your hand. Bamboo makes razor blades, absolute razor blade splinters. Again, things I want anywhere near me when I'm being hit. Shards of pine, splinters of bamboo, cracks, things like that. It's not the one. So when we talk about woods, actually what we're talking about is the hardwoods, the durable woods, the ones that behave nicely when they break. Most toys won't break. But when we talk about design, we talk about failure analysis. And what about the one time that it does? If I sell 200 toys today, what if? I've actually never had a breakage. I've never had a return for breakage. It'll happen. It will. I will get a bad bit of wood at some point that's got a flaw in it, and it will break. But what I need it to do is to break safely, and break in a way that doesn't put my customers, you guys, at risk. So when we look at woods, that's what we look for. Metals, really similar. You're not going to break a metal paddle, but what we're talking about is sensitivity and body sensitivities, cleanliness, things like that. Stainless steel, yep, brilliant. Go and buy stainless steel toys, brilliant. Until your bottom's got a nickel allergy. And then it starts to be a bit hivey and nasty. Okay, you're not inserting it, it's still there. I see a lot of, and I get a lot of requests for paddles with bolts on. Studs, screws, bolts, things like that. Most of these are what's called galvanized. Hot dip galvanized, dipped in zinc. Zinc is not a nice material and it's not good in your body. And it flakes off. Have any of you seen an old fence with railings and the flakes of grey material flaking off the surface? That is zinc. That is what those bolts are made of. And I get some serious anxiety, and I refuse. I've never made those toys for exactly that reason, that I don't feel good about that personally with my risk tolerance for my business. I am not calling people out. I'm telling you what my experience and my professional opinion is. And the big last one is things like brass and things like that. Again, there is some sensitivity issues there. Some people can be sensitive to brass. It's very unlikely, but it's something to be aware of when you start thinking about who we play with, what we do. Leather, broadly the same. Most leather is good leather. Most people here, all people here I think actually, will be using good, high quality leather. Cheap imported leather can have some funky chemicals in it. Reputable tanneries don't do it, and all of us here that I know of are using reputable tanneries. Just be aware of it. Think about the questions to ask. And I personally, I'm a big veggie vegan. My partner, C, who's on the store right now, is a very strict vegan. So leather's a really dicey one in terms of vegan. I use things like this. This is biothane, it's horse tack. It's a polyurethane webbing. This is a good leather replacement, it's expensive. Pleather, bonded leather, clothing leather, where it's backed onto fabric, it will break. I'm really sorry, it will break. It's a matter of time. That fabric leather bond, especially in something like this that bends, or in a dragon tail, that is constantly creasing, and that tip is breaking the sound barrier. That glue joint is never, ever, ever going to hold. So we ask the question, and that's what you should be doing. Go to these people and ask the question, because that maker should tell you. They should be up for that. They should love that. I want someone to come to my stall and say, how is that made? Why have you done this? What's this? And they should be able to answer that question and put your mind at risk. Final one for materials is plastics. I don't use a lot of plastic at all. And the big reason for me is nothing particularly sentimental. It's that I don't want to put plastic into the environment. There's enough of it. Every straw you use, every takeaway container you use, every piece of packaging from Tesco you use, I don't want to put that into the environment. I, as a business, choose not to do that. That's my choice. And lots of people will fill the niche that I leave. That is absolutely fine by me. But I don't want to put plastic into the environment. It's a choice. Now, plastics are really good though, because they're wipe clean. Really nice as a toy. If you're going to use it with multiple people, wipe clean, soak it in alcohol, 30 seconds, it's going to sterilize it. Beautiful. But my big call out with plastics is type of plastic and how it's made. 3D printing being the great one. Last sort of 4 years, 3D printing on the scene has gone woof through the roof. 3D printing is hot melt glue. It's hot melt glue. If it breaks on the layer lines. Again, think about our canes, think about our wood. Those layers separate, it pinches, it harbors bacteria, it harbors germs, things like that. So be cautious, be aware, know what you're getting into. 3D printed toys are cool because you can make pretty much anything you want, but be aware this is not going to be a toy that lives forever, and you're going to be putting it in the bin and putting it into landfill for the next 3,000 years. The other one is acrylic. Lots of acrylic toys, because acrylic is lovely. It laser cuts quickly. We can make hundreds of toys a day in acrylic because it laser cuts quickly. But failure mode analysis, that word I said earlier, I know I'm very boring. I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, I'm a designer. I'm a very boring person. I just make cool shit. My problem with acrylic is it does this. Cover your ears if you're sensitive to sound. And when it breaks, it shatters into horrible, sharp, razor blade pieces. It does not bend. When it reaches its failure point, it doesn't give and stress and flex, it shatters. You will almost never break an acrylic toy that's 20 mil thick. Trust me, that's what glass bridges are made out of, is 20 mil thick acrylic. 10 mil? Oh, I've broken it before. 5 mil? Yeah. You probably won't. But what happens when you do? And hopefully my demo works here. Fingers in ears if you don't like balloons popping, because this is my little shard of metal. This is my little splinter of bamboo. Your skin breaks that easily. And that's without getting into the wonderful things that the kink shrink talks about skin friability and different things that make us more susceptible to skin damage and things like that. Your skin breaks really easily. Things like that is a hospital trip. Things like the pine is a hospital trip. Things like the acrylic is big, nasty cuts. Big, nasty cuts. So it's just something to be aware of. It's just something to think about before you go out and buy a toy. Materials, done, tick. I know, very boring. I'm sorry. Let's talk about design. That's my real love, my firstborn, my love, my design. Now, let's get for two toys. I can swing these floggers all day. I can swing this baton all day. Toys don't need to be heavy. This flogger here has got a reputation as the meanest, nastiest flogger in the world because it is quick. It doesn't need to be heavy. Some of you have picked up, I think I showed you the big boy flogger that I've got on my store, the huge green and gold thing. Again, it is heavy, but it's balanced. It sits as a balance point right here, right where you grip. And what that means is, all you're doing is steering. All you're doing is steering. If your flogger balances out here, ooh, you're going over, you've got to commit, and then pull back and reset. Commit, and then pull back and reset. So that balance point is a really, really key point. Now, I sound really big-headed doing this, talking about my own toy, so I'm going to talk about Adam Enlisted, who's over there right now. This is a new product of his, Dragon Scale Dragon Tail. He doesn't know I'm doing this, so someone go and tell him. Adam is a very old friend of mine. He makes gorgeous products. But the balance point on this is beautiful. And there's thought that goes into that. It's thin leather on the back to cut down the weight, and then the thick scales on the front. There's thought, there's care, there's testing, there's time that goes into that to make a toy that sits in your hand and lets you have that quick, easy wrist motion rather than that whole body, arm over. And you can do that every time you go up to a stall. Again, if you come up to my stall, there's a sign on it. I'm going to have t-shirts made with this on. What is it? Feel free to touch, please ask before using. I am going to have a t-shirt with that on, with my logo on for the next market, because I just think it's funny, because I'm a bit of a twisted so-and-so, but I just think it's funny. Ask. You should be absolutely feel free to pick those toys up, swing them, play with them before you buy them. Feel them in your hand. And silly things. I've got huge hands. I'm 6'4", of course I've got huge hands. Adam's handles fit me. Who's got tiny hands? Anyone got tiny hands? Ah, there you go. Yeah, it fits you too. A great demo of this. Back to mine, because I've got to sell something, haven't I? Come on. Batons. Round end. Slidey. That fits me okay. You're not going to be able to get your hand around that. That's going to slip and slide. A little bit of shape. A little bit of wasting. That hourglass shape, and suddenly that can stay in your hand all day. You're not going to get tired, because all I'm doing is gripping it with my thumb and my finger, using those big muscles. Drumming. It's basically what you're doing, isn't it? Sitting on a drum kit. And you make it easy for yourself. So design is a huge, huge thing. Shaping, contouring, that's the other way of doing it. You can do a barrel, because then you can choke here, or you can choke here, and it fits a range of people. You don't need great big fat handles to make a good toy. Make it short, make it small, make it comfortable. Because actually, my nice short handle hugs your hand. You've got so much control, so much precision, so much flexibility in how you use it, compared to that big chunky handle that you can't get a hand around, and you're trying to pick it up, feel it in your hand, feel what it's like, see if you like it before you pick it up and use it. And the maker should be encouraging you. A couple of final points on this. I'm not going to crack the whip, it's a bit short in here and it will be deafening, don't worry. Is texture, things like that. These are braided. I don't make very many of these, just because braiding them takes a very long time, is the honest truth. Braided handles offer a great grip, but you will get hot spots, because it's got so much texture and so much grip. If you use it all day, and I've done demos with these for a long time, you will use it all day, you will start to get hot spots in your hand. Little points where it's got more friction, more contact that will make your hand start to swell. Something like this, that's smooth, that's glossy, that slides, you're less prone to. Again, no hard and fast rules. Make an informed choice. Go for something smooth that fits your hand so that you don't get those pinch points when you're using it. And it makes your life so much nicer, so much calmer. And the big obvious one about design, I'll borrow yours for a second. What evil shit are you putting on the other end of it as a maker? If you go for something like this is one of mine because I've got to sell stuff again, you know. Flat side, what's that going to feel like? It's going to be wide, it's a big contact area. It's a slap. Rounded and narrow, oh, that's quite thuddy, that's a deep feeling. You add something nice like this, oh, that's even deeper. It breaks up the surface, it pushes the skin out of the way, pushes the muscle aside, and you get that lovely massagey feeling. Something like this is where your personal risk assessment comes into play. I, as the maker, as the owner, will make these. But you need to know what you're doing. This is not a toy for a beginner. There are loads of different things to make toys have texture and make them feel fun and different and interesting. That's what makes a toy bag cool, isn't it? When you pull something out and someone goes, ha, no. Mine is Duckies and Lego. As I call it, the Ruined Childhood Memories collection. Duckies and Lego. I just think it's so funny to hit someone with a ducky that squeaks. Oh, it's twisted, I know. But what you put on there, thank you, should be safe, inherently safe. It shouldn't be likely to split apart. It shouldn't be likely to have issues with toxicity. It shouldn't come off. That's the big one. On my stall, there's D4 paddles. Any of you that are into Dungeons and Dragons? The circles of nerdery here between kink, BDSM, Dungeons and Dragons, all of that, they just line up wonderfully. My D4 paddle is a great example. I did a lot of research on that because I wanted to make sure those dice weren't going to come off. They're not just glued on. They're glued and they're pinned internally because I don't want it to come off. And if you talk to me about it, I will tell you that. I will tell you that the first one I made and I tested, I was hammering on them in the workshop to see if they broke, and they did. So we adjust it, we make it again, we try again. Sean, Leather Delights, talks about this wonderfully. Talks about a lifetime warranty on toys. Okay, if you come to me and say, my finish is scratched on my toy, yeah, that's fair wear and tear is what that is. I'll refinish it for you. But I might say, can you contribute to postage, for instance? But actually, a good toy should last a really long time. A really, really long time. You shouldn't be, other than canes, they're a consumable. They will give out. Toys should last a long time. They shouldn't break. Bits shouldn't fall off. They should be good and beautiful for years to come. And that's the biggest thing. So yeah, I've given you all the things here. Especially if you're starting a toy bag. Multiple textures on one toy. Lovely. Things like Adam's Dragon Scale Dragon Tail. Try saying that 5 times fast. Beautiful, flicky, whippy toy. Fold it over, and you, oh, that was louder than I thought it was going to be. And you get a wonderful slap from it. You get a completely different texture. And that is good design. That is a good toy that gives you, as the top, as the impact top, the flexibility in how you use it and what you want to do with it. And obviously, don't start with the thing that's going to really, really, really hurt someone. These snake whips are lovely. I've spent a lot of time practicing with them, but they are not an easy toy to control. It flexes. And what that means is if I flick this out and I'm not exactly in line, it wants to twist and turn and go to the left and go to the right and hit high and hit low. My best bit of advice to you, and the advice that I got given when I started on the scene, was buy a velvet pair of curtains. I know that sounds proper odd, doesn't it? You weren't expecting fashion advice. Buy a velvet pair of curtains. Because velvet, you brush it down and then you whip it. And you should just get a little kick every time you hit it with your whip or with your dragon tail. And what that means is you're just kissing that velvet curtain. And you could stand there and practice 10 minutes before bed. It's like doing your exercise and things like that, isn't it? All those things that you're supposed to do for 10 minutes before bed, it's bad, isn't it? But if you want to get good with the snake whip, with the dragon tail, 10 minutes before bed, velvet curtain, bam, 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 and you will start to be able to move that dot around. I started doing crosses, and then do a circle around the outside. When you can do that, you start to go, yeah, I'm happy. There's no police. No one's going to say stop, but I'm happy to go and use this on someone else. Moving on. Oh, yes. Yes, I will be taking questions at the end. Yeah. You can.
All right. No, I was curious. So you said that rattan breaks very well and nicely, right? So what I was curious about was like, why does it break nicely? What does happen when it breaks, right?
Yeah. Bamboo, entirely linear fibers, grow straight up and down, so it splits into razor blades. Rattan sort of winds, so you don't get the same bang, 1,000 razor blades effect with rattan. You will tend to get it splitting, but staying together. And you look at it and you flex it, which is what I'm going to talk about in the final bit, about what do you do before you play, and you flex it and go, oh, maybe not today, and you retire it and you hang it on the wall, fond of memories past. Does that make sense? That twisting fiber just holds it together, just in case. Right, construction. I thought you were asking a question then. No. Construction. Big, obvious ones. I'm going to get one of mine out again, because I'm like that. My floggers, my dragon tails, everything are glued in place. Great, glue is wonderful. Glue holds things really well. I use a marine grade epoxy. If you want to know what the epoxy I use, it is West Systems G-Flex Fast Set. There you go. I have no secrets from you. If you ask the maker, I think they should tell you. How do you make an informed choice if they won't? West Systems Marine Epoxy. Marine epoxy is great because it flexes. Boats twist and bend. Marine epoxy is great. Yeah, but eventually glue breaks down. Might be 100 years, might be 200 years, but eventually it breaks down. Do I think my floggers are heirlooms that are going to be passed down from father to son? I kind of hope so. I kind of hope so. Like on your deathbed, son, go in the cupboard you were never allowed in. I just think that's brilliant. But my aim is, and if you look at my toys, they are glued, they are wrapped, and they are pinned. Pinned around the circumference. So actually there is a mechanical fastening holding that flogger in. Walk up to a stall, if you're buying a flogger, and just do that. Does it rattle? Does it move? Do you feel movement? Because you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And that's a really quick tell. And if that maker goes, oh, no, don't do that. You've got to buy it first. I've got some questions. How we fix it in place is a big, big thing. Things like this, that's got things added onto it. Feel them, move them. Do they rattle? Listen to it, shake it. Does it rattle? Can you twist things? Do they move? Is the joinery, the gluing secure? I love how you're doing it on my paddle in the front row, just to check. Oh my God. No, come on. Don't worry, everyone will wait just to see if I'm a total liar, shall we? Things like my lotus spikes are screwed in. They're glued and screwed. Have I ever, in testing them, had a glue joint fail on one? No. But you know what? That little brass screw is cheap insurance, but it takes a bit longer. So if you're making hundreds of them, it's really easy to go, maybe not. Ask, talk about them. What are they doing that makes those toys as safe as absolutely possible? And my final point on the construction is finishes. If you don't want me to nerd out, I'm going to say some acronyms here. I apologize. They're very boring. You don't need to know them, but I'm just showing off. Right. Most wooden toys are finished with oil and wax. Very natural, very lovely, beautiful finish. polishes the surface, buffs it, it's gorgeous, it's smooth. If it ever gets wet, the grain will rise. The fibres in the wood will start to stick up, because that's what wood does. You get wood wet and it gets all fuzzy, and an oil and wax finish doesn't stop the water getting to the surface. That's not a problem. You buff it with some wax and it goes away. Not a problem, but be aware of it. Oil and wax is not a barrier. Things will soak into it. Fluids will soak into it. It needs topped up, it needs polished, it needs waxed. Whether that's furniture wax, beeswax mix, whatever, it needs topped up. Be aware of it. What a lot of makers use, if I'll be brutally honest, what I used when I started was an automotive lacquer, a car lacquer. Gorgeous, high gloss, beautiful. Finishes out, looks almost reflective. It's not actually the look that I like, if I'm being really honest, that reflective look. Looks nice. Automotive, the clue's in the name, it's designed to bond to metal and polymers and primers and car paint and things like that. It will tend to chip, and chunks of it will tend to come off, little flakes. It happens. That is wear and tear. That is what happens to toys when we use them, especially if you wear rings when you play. I always have several rings on, and when I play, I take them off because I don't want dings and nicks and things in the finishes on my toys. But actually, it happens. It's part of the life of them. It's part of what makes your toys yours. I think it's beautiful. I love going to events, going to parties and seeing my toys that have got wear on them, that have got use on them. That's beautiful. What I finish my toys with, and what these ones are finished with, got to look at my acronyms here, is a spray finish. Spray finish is nice, goes on beautiful. It's water-based. Again, that's a personal choice. I'm thinking about the environment again. I want to use a water-based finish that's a bit less toxic. When a little bit of it gets out of my spray booth, I don't want it to kill the bunny rabbit. My finishes are what's called EN71 certified. It's a British standard for toy safety. So the finish that's on my toys is certified for use on children's toys. And my thinking behind that is, kids put things in their mouths. We know it's non-toxic if it's EN71. We know it doesn't flake off if it's EN71. We know it's got that pedigree. It's been tested to this standard. I've used an EN71 finish for a while. What I've moved to recently is the Furniture Industry Research Association British Standard 6250 Severe Use Standard testing. Told you it was nerdy. And what that means, it's the finish that goes on your kitchen cabinets. If you've got wooden kitchen cabinets, severe use standard is commercial kitchen cabinets. So a severe use standard FIRA 6250 finish should be incredibly durable, water repellent, it will not flake, it will not mark. It'll scratch, because all finishes will scratch. If you've got a metal ring on, it'll scratch. But it will not flake, it will not chip, it will not have this. Ask the maker. Ask them, how's this finished? How do you apply it? What do you use? What do I do when I need to top it up? What do I do when it gets marks or dings? Get them to tell you. Ask them, get them to tell you. Because actually, that's a really easy one. It's like sanding. This is a bit of beech wood. That wood that I was talking about, all of my toys being made from. Don't go to Lamb and carry cotton balls around in your pocket. It looks weird, I know that. This is it sanded to a surface finish for a toy. My cotton ball doesn't pick up a single thing. This edge is rounded over how I would finish a toy. Doesn't pick up a single thing. This is it, straight off of the machine that makes it flat and smooth. I've not sanded it yet. And actually, you look at that, all the pieces it started to pick up. That surface is inherently rough. Oh, this looks really odd, doesn't it? Anyone walks in now, this is proper weird. You can see the little fluffy bits that start to pick up compared to this side. My little fluffy bits. My little fluffy bits. That's just a weird sentence. Realise that after saying it 6 or 7 times.
Say it once.
My lovely fluffy bits that are picking up on here. This shouldn't be a big issue because your toys should have a really nice surface finish on them, a Fira 6250 or EN71 finish. But actually, it changes how the finish gets applied. It changes how the finish sits. You have to put a lot of finish on to fill all of those gaps. Tiny little bit on here. Same with edge profiles. Sharp edge, it's going to start to cut. Radiused edge, smooth, beautiful. Look for those features on your toys because it makes them last longer. Finish isn't going to wear off with that rounded edge. Finish isn't going to chip off where there's a huge, great thick bit when it's been sanded smooth and beautiful before it goes to finish. And you can start to see that. The more you look at these toys, you will start to see that. And my final point before I'm going to open up some questions is, what do you do before you play? Testing, quality control, care, things like that. I am not going to say, listen to me about how to disinfect toys. Kink Shrink has a whole talk on it. Go and listen to their talk. Because actually, how we medically disinfect things to a standard that is safe is actually a lot more than people think. It is not a wipe with a baby wipe. Because how many of you have seen that in a dungeon before? Where actually, that's a dungeon toy, you put it back on the wall and you wipe it with a pack of baby wipes that's just there. Roughly speaking, a disinfection is at least, I believe, 30 seconds in contact with 80% greater alcohol content sterilizer. This is a boast, sorry. My finish will stand up to that. Say nothing. But yeah, before you use a toy, you should check it every time. Something like this. Have a look. Has it got splits in it? Has it got cracks, dinks, dents? Has it banged up against that big stainless steel thing in the bottom of your toy bag on the way there? Has that dent compromised it? Has it made it open up or flexible? Do a simple check. With your cane, do the flex test. Flex it and roll. If you flex it in one direction, can I see if there's a crack on the bottom or the side? No. Flex it and roll it between your fingers because you can see the cracks open and close as they move around the bend. Flex and twist. Find out. Your flogger, again. Is it secure? Is it tight? Look at the tails. Are they frayed? Are they damaged on the ends? Because that's the bit that's making contact. That's the bit that they will feel. Look at your handle. Is it safe to use for you? Are you going to pinch or get a spiky point, something like that? Because actually, we matter as well, don't we, the people that are on this end of it? We talk a lot about the subs here. Simple checks to do this. And ask the maker, what is their aftercare policy? Sounds daft saying that about a maker, doesn't it? What is their aftercare policy? If that toy breaks, do they warranty it? If that toy dinks up or cracks, do they warranty it? When that finish starts to wear, do you wax it? Do you oil it? Do you accept that it's the beautiful patina that toys get over time in use? Or do you send it back to them? What is their aftercare policy? Talk to them, because they should tell you. If their answer is, once you've bought it, it's probably not going to be, let's be honest. Most people are better salesmen than that. But if that's their answer, you need to start asking some serious questions about what that toy is and whether it's what you want. My other one is, does it rattle? That's sometimes a good one as well, especially with floggers, with pins and things like that. Does it rattle? So, that is a rattle, an absolute rattle through Design for Impact. How do we design safer toys? What questions have we got? What do we want to know that I have not covered or that you've heard and you've gone, oh, tell me more. Tell me more, Kay, tell me more. I'm coming back.
So I'm interested about, you said, buff it with like oil or wax. Right?
Yeah.
What happens if you say buff it with the wrong one, right? If the one takes the other one, what happens to the wrong one?
Okay.
I'm just curious about.
Yeah.
I've got another question as well.
Okay, yeah. So we're talking about buffing with oil or wax. Why do we ask the maker what oil or wax they use? The simple reason being that some are compatible with others. Some are not compatible, some are. If you use, again, fingers in the ears, fall asleep for those of you that don't want the nerdery. If they've used like a silicon-based wax, so like sheen polish is a silicon-based wax. It has beeswax and silicon in it. Silicon is non-slip. It's slip, not non-slip, other way around. It's very slippery. A finish on top of silicon won't tend to take. So if they finished it with a silicon-containing wax, if you try and put a non-silicon containing wax on top of that, it's basically just going to run off. So you just don't get very effective. You're not going to hurt it. And equally the same, if you put a silicon containing wax on it, Mr. Pledge is the one that everyone seems to have in their kitchen cupboards. It's awful stuff. As a furniture maker, please don't buy Mr. Pledge. Please, it's horrible stuff. Mr. Pledge is the common one. Makes it look great for about an hour. But yeah, that's why we don't do it. You had another one as well, didn't you? I'm coming back.
Yeah, no, I mean, so what materials do you need to buff stuff? So I don't know what materials you need to actually buff stuff, right?
What do you need to buff it? Yeah. What materials would you need if you're going to buff a toy and wax a toy? Right, let's take this one here. This isn't wax, but you could buff this with wax to make it nice and shiny. What I would recommend, what I use in my workshop is Scotch-Brite. You can buy it on eBay. If you don't want to buy it on eBay, you know the double-sided kitchen pads? It's got the scoury end on one side and the sponge on the other side. The sponge side of it does a really good job. It's like not abrasive, but like just abrasive enough that it polishes really nicely. The sponge side of one of those. And I use just a beeswax. So the finish that I use is a blend of beeswax and jojoba oil, made by me because I'm bougie like that. You know how it is. The reason I like that finish is it's safe for your hands. It's basically hand cream. It's posh hand cream, jojoba oil and beeswax. They're both body safe. So actually what it means is when I'm in the workshop polishing things all day, I come out with lovely moisturized hands, which is fantastic. But yeah, a good high quality beeswax based product is really good. If you're vegan, so the vegan stuff that I make is polished with carnauba wax. Carnauba wax is much harder, so we have to put more oil in it to make it soft enough to polish. But carnauba wax or beeswax are the ones you're looking for. And yeah, either Scotch-Brite, like a really soft Scotch-Brite, or the back of a kitchen sponge. This is actually really good in a pinch. Paper towels tend to be a bit rubbish because they'll do it for a bit and then they start to wear through and you'll be getting little bits of blue fluff stuck in the polishing wax and it just looks a bit naff. So yeah, that would be my advice for that. Any more for any more?
So, you know the wooden toys that you use?
Yeah.
So obviously they're wax or
Yeah.
If you use disinfectant on them,
Yeah.
so mainly alcohol,
Yeah.
does it rub the wax?
Yes.
And how do you actually disinfect it?
Yeah. So a wooden toy that has been finished with a wax finish, how do you disinfect it? Can you disinfect it? No. Wood is inherently porous. It sucks things in. Kitchen chopping boards. There was a lot of research done a few years ago about kitchen chopping boards, and they phased wooden chopping boards out of restaurants. And this was really interesting because there wasn't actually any research that said wooden chopping boards harbored more bacteria. A material like beech, for instance, is inherently antibacterial. So beech toys are actually inherently antibacterial. Beech chopping boards are the de facto standard for kitchen chopping boards. But, like you said, if you've got a wooden toy, there is not really a waxed wooden toy. There's not really a good way of disinfecting it. If you wipe alcohol over a wax finish, most of them are thinned with mineral spirits or something like that, and you will take the finish off. It unfortunately is that simple. That's why we like... Yeah. This becomes a very big conversation, doesn't it? Where we talk about the ethics of using the same toys that we cannot fully disinfect with multiple partners. Obviously, things that have the risk of drawing blood do not. And I'm not an expert in the bloodborne pathogens or anything like that. It's not my area of interest. It is, but it's not my area of specialism. But yeah. Yeah, it becomes a dynamic risk assessment, doesn't it? Actually, something like this, I can wipe down with alcohol and I can, to a reasonable standard, disinfect between partners. But it becomes a risk assessment for you and the people you play with. And it's about being informed. I think that's what we all come back to with things like this, isn't it? It's informed consent. If the person you're playing with knows that this is not an exclusive toy to them, knows what you have done to make it as safe as possible, that's very different to opening your kit bag and going, let's go. We've all seen it. We've all been at events where we've seen it, let's be fair. Questions? Yes.
How do you
Sorry, I'm very close.
your flogger,
Yeah.
the bits on the end,
Yeah.
how do you sort of make it so that it doesn't flame or it's the finish the end?
Yeah. So my biothane flogger, my vegan one, it's a polyurethane coated webbing. I've said that about 4 times in this talk, haven't I? You're all sick of knowing that. Yeah, you are completely correct. Polyurethane, biothane, there's a lovely person who makes collars out of this over there. The ends, it's a webbing, it's a canvas webbing. How do we seal these? What I do is I cut them off, I melt them, so I'll melt them against a hot metal plate that melts the plastic if you heat it up rather than burning it, and we can form that over. And then I seal it with like an acrylate sealer, similar to like you'd use for leather and things like that. It gives you that waterproof end cap on there as well. Make sense? Any more for any more? Oh, I love this. Loads of questions. This makes me really happy.
Especially with the wooden toys, is there a price point where if they're selling it that cheap, it's not worth getting?
Oh, that's mean. That's mean. Right. Okay. I'm really open and honest about my toys. Yeah? Ah, sorry. Yes, thank you. Is there a price point at which I would look at wooden toys and go, huh? Yeah, good paraphrase. Yes and no. Good questions to ask. What material is it? Beech, oak, ash, hickory, maple, tick. Plywood? God, no. You don't know what's in that glue. You don't know how well bonded those fibers are. Any of you that have gone to B&Q and bought plywood and then cut it and it goes brrr, and it basically looks like an explosion has happened on it, God, no. It's not for me. There are better grades of plywood, and there are makers that make toys out of plywood. I am not calling anyone out, but it's your personal risk assessment. And for me, making my toys, no. Softwoods, I think you came in a little bit late, missed the demo I was talking about. Softwoods have a horrible tendency to do things like this, and they split into sharp shards, whereas our hardwoods, our beech, our oak, our maple, our ash, tend not to split in the same way. They tend, it's called interlock. The grain tends to be a bit more twisty together, so it doesn't split in this way that pine and larch and maple does. Softwoods, manufactured boards, plywood, MDF, things like that. After that, my toys are quite cheap. This is not a brag. It's not. My toys are quite cheap. I have the incredible luxury of being a furniture maker. I have a very lovely workshop full of very lovely toys for making furniture. And what that means is I have contacts, I have suppliers that gets me timber cheaper, that gets me timber cheaper, and I have machinery that makes it quicker. So the price point I tend to hit is lower. That's not a brag. It's not. It's a fact. Use sort of your awareness, what we've talked about here, the materials, the quality of manufacture, things like that, to make an informed choice. That's what I'll say. There's no hard and fast rule. Obviously, if it's like £5, I'd have some serious questions about where that's come from. That feels like it's fallen off the back of a lorry on the way there kind of thing, doesn't it? But no, there is not an inherent price point I would go. It's much more that dynamic. Is it this? Is it that? Is it the other? Yes?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do I have any tips for making everyday objects into toys? It's a good one, this. Yes is the answer. I kind of keep saying the same thing, don't I? Be aware. Be selective. I have someone in my local scene who I look in his kit bag and I think, did you go to IKEA on a sale day? Like, what happened here? There's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. Like, we've all got toys that we thought, that's just funny. I've got to do that. Meat tenderizers, things like that. Yeah, pizza rollers, rolling pins, things like that. Yeah, really good. TK Maxx is a great one. Olive wood chopping boards, hilarious, brilliant, massive, and quite cheap. Yeah. But yeah, beware, be conscious of what you're buying, the materials you're buying, and look into it. Like I said, chopping boards are good because they're for use in the kitchen, and things like your kitchen utensils really good because they tend to be made of those hardwoods that tend to be more durable, better, things like that. I have just been told time. Did I have one more question before I go? Go on.
This is a promotion question for you.
Yeah?
Where would you put your products in the price point? As in
Where would I-
low, middle, high?
Where would I put my products in a price point? It depends. There we go. I vary. My toys go from £30 up to £100. I cover the whole gamut. But actually that's because I want to hit all of those different areas. But I don't price against other people. I price for my shop rate, my time, my materials. I'm not benchmarking my toys against other people. I make what I want to make out of my toys based on what I do. Right, as I said at the start, if you are interested, there is this lovely little resource, Impact Toy Shopping Checklist, and all it has is some nice little questions that you could ask before you pick up a toy that you're going to buy. You don't have to come and get one. I'm not going to be offended. If you want to get it off of my website, it'll be going up on the website probably tomorrow morning. If you'd like one, come and see me. Thank you very much. I've been Kay, Queer Punk. Have a lovely day.